What the hell is up, everybody? Louis back here again for honestly an awful fight night, UFC Vegas 69, but the main event is awesome. At women's flyweight, 125 pounds. You got Jessica, the pile driver Andrade, stepping in on short notice for Talia Santos to take on Erin, cold-blooded Blanchfield. If Erin wins, she's getting a title shot next, no questions asked, after Grasso and Shevchenko fight. And if Jessica Andrade wins, well, she's guaranteed a huge matchup next, whoever that may be, and is the ruler of 115 and 125 pounds. That's just how it goes. And in the co-main event, you got Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, taking on Zach Pauga. Pauga moving down from heavyweight, Jordan Wright moving up from middleweight. So, should be violent, but, you know. But we have the return of Jim Miller on this card, taking on Alex Hernandez. Pivotal matchup in each guy's career, so I'm excited to see how that one goes. But, yeah, so it's a fight card. Let's just get through it here. First fight of the night at 125 pounds, men's flyweight, you got Clayton Concrete Carpenter taking on Juan Camilo Ronderos. Carpenter took on Edgar Chairez his last fight. In the first round, he slipped a jab on the outside. He looks for the blitz inside the pocket, starts landing some leg kicks. But then he gets dropped with a check hook off of his step-in cross. He's kind of leaving his chin out there. But then he blitzes, gets the body lock, drags him down, but he gets reversed. But then he eats some leg kicks back up in range, but all good there, still putting the work in. Then in the second round, he circles at range, he steps into, and he starts winging some hooks, kind of wildly, getting a little desperate maybe. But then he blitzes to a double, gets a double off the fence, full mount, lands some vicious elbows there. And then in the third round, he backs up, he pumps some leg kicks, and then he looks for a step-in left hook. He lands a head kick, and he draws some hooks from him, and then he's able to get the blast double whenever he presses him. He's not able to hold him down, but then he's able to keep pressuring him, keep him in the clinch, and he gets another double off of his knees, and then he's able to land some nice ground and pound to end the fight, put that impression in the judges' minds, and really good, solid performance from him. And then Juan Camilo Ronderos took on David Dvorak. This was back in 2021, so he's had a long layoff already. First round, he lands a step-in cross, kind of circles out of range, lands some step-in wild overhands, but he eats some straight shots in return. But then he rushes in, he gets rocked with the overhand right and some flurries, but then he gets his back taken, gets put in a rear naked choke, and gets submitted. Not too much to it there. Juan Camilo plus 255, Clayton Carpenter minus 305. Don't really like the price here, but I'm just going to go with Clayton Carpenter. He's been more active. I think he hits harder. Juan Camilo seems like he could be a first-round fighter. Clayton Carpenter has got a 3-round cardio, so I like that one without getting too specific on it. It's a flyweight fight, so under 2.5 rounds and minus 155. I like that action. I'm going to go with Carpenter here. All right. Second fight of the night at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got AJ Fletcher taking on Themba Gorimbo, UFC newcomer from the regional promotion scene. AJ Fletcher took on Angelusa his last fight. Pretty exciting bout. In the first round, he pressures with some long hooks and some front kicks on the inside. Then he steps in, rips the body, and then lands some jabs at range. But then he walks into some right crosses. He gets rocked himself, but that's how he kind of fights, I guess. But then in the second round, he really turns things up. He presses with some jabs and some straights, but then he eats multiple straight rights in return, just kind of hanging out at range. But then he lands a hook over top of his Ange's straight, and he gets the flurry on the inside, and he rocks him with some mod hooks. But then he shoots a double when he can't finish it, and he is completely gassed out. Like, he literally has nothing left in the tank. But he almost finished him, man. He hit him as hard as anybody could hit anybody. But, you know, I feel like he should have kept working those hooks instead of going for the double. And just literally sits there, can't do anything for a minute. Then in the third round, he's completely gassed out. His desperate double attempt gets stuffed and eats some ground and pound and a half guard for the rest of the round. Completely blows the fight, in my opinion. So that was a really tough one for him. But, you know, he almost had him finished. And Luis is a pretty tough guy. And then Themba Gorimbo took on Julio Rodriguez his last fight. This was outside UFC, lower level promotion, I would say. In the first round, he lands some straight rights at range, but they're a little too short. But then he's able to complete the blast double. It lands in a full guard, lands some nice elbows with ground and pound. Then in the second round, he rocks him with some step-in wild hooks. Just kind of rushes right out of the gate. But then he circles on the outside, pumps his jabs, and he's able to get a single off of his leg kick, and he's able to lace his leg. And he able to keep him down with that, and has his back up against the fence, and just really focusing on his pressure on the bottom and his hip placement, and he looked, you know, really impressive stuff, honestly. And then in the third round, he backs up and lands a body kick, and he gets the takedown. so he catches the body kick, and he's able to convert that into a takedown into half guard, and he lands some ground and pound, laces the legs again, he takes his back with one hook, and just hangs on, goes to work, man. So I liked him. I thought he had a pretty fun style, kind of rushes at you, a little bit of wild striking, but, you know, better on the ground than I thought he would be. Themba plus 230 and AJ Fletcher minus 275. Now, Themba in his previous fights gets taken down pretty easily. AJ Fletcher has decent wrestling, but AJ Fletcher gasses out pretty bad, and he might shoot a desperate takedown and might not be able to get it, just might be dead tired. And I think if that happens, Themba will be able to take advantage of him and sprawl and brawl, or just pancake him over and land some shots from a half guard. So I really don't like this price on Fletcher. Fletcher has more UFC experience, but I just don't feel comfortable laying minus 275 on him. You know, I really would think AJ Fletcher's going to win, but at this price tag, I'm going to go with Themba here. I think he gets something done. I think if they get into a firefight, I think Themba might be able to actually outpace AJ Fletcher by the third round. We'll see. I'm just going to take a shot on the dog. I'm going to go with Themba here. Third fight of the night at 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Ovis St. Preux taking on Felipe Lins. Yeah, so two legends going at it, I guess. Not yeah, Ovis St. Preux kind of is, but Lins been around for a while, and both guys need to win here. It seems like a walking papers fight to me, but could be fun. Ovis St. Preux took on Shogun Rua his last fight. In the first round, he lands some front kicks at range, but then he gets pressed with hooks. But he circles and he backs out of range, but he eats some leg kicks at range then later on. Then in the second round, he circles and he just kind of gets caught with some kicks, and then his kick gets caught and he eats a 1-2. But then he almost walks into some straights, but really nothing happens here. But Ovis St. Preux is continually busting out those teep kicks. Then in the third round, he cuts off the cage, lands some front body kicks and a jab, and then a straight left. And then he presses forward, looks for a straight left at range. Kind of clips him, not really. You know, just kind of out-pressures him, out-points him. And then Felipe Lins took on Prachnio his last fight a little while ago. In the first round, he eats some leg kicks, but then he gets the clinch to the double, and he's able to get around his back standing, but he can't hold him, can't convert to a naked choke. But then he chases with some jabs to the body, and then he tries to go to the clinch from there, but he's not able to hold him or get a takedown from there. And then in the second round, he eats a lead hook, but he forces a firefight, lands some hooks, and then a 1-2 off of his blitz. Then he rocks him with some lead hooks, but then he gets rocked with a front body kick, getting a little careless there. But then he crashes the pocket, starts ripping the body, and then he lands a right cross, and then he goes for the clinch there. I would prefer him try to finish it off with strikes, but, you know, saves his energy. Then in the third round, he ducks the hook into the body lock trip, and he stays on the clinch, and then he's able to convert to another double leg. Back on the feet, he lands a 1-2 in the pocket, and then he gets around the back standing again. Doesn't really do too much with it, but, you know, pretty good showing from him. Felipe Lins minus 215 over St. Preux plus 185. Low level light heavyweights, but I just didn't like what I see out of Ovis St. Preux, even for this price tag. He's old, he's weathered, he's taken a lot of damage over his career. Felipe Lins kind of trying to get back on the right track here. I think he has one more go in him if he wants it. I just think that the wrestling and Felipe's going to be able to create space and land some clean 1-2s down the pipe and then crowd him. Clinch up Ovis St. Preux, beat him up in the clinch. I see that going there. Ovis St. Preux might catch him with a front kick or two, but, you know, didn't really show any power. Couldn't knock out Mauricio Hua, who just got knocked out his last fight by a very low-level guy. So, price tag sucks, but I'm going to go with Felipe Lins here. Over 2.5, minus 125. I think both guys are just kind of outpoint each other. I'm going to go with Felipe Lins. Fourth fight of the night, 145 pounds, men's featherweight. You got Jamal Emmers taking on UFC newcomer Hussein Ashkabov. Emmers took on Pat Sabatini his last fight a little while ago. First round, drops him with a step-in 1-2 off of his level change. Into full mount, takes the back, rear naked choke attempt, transitions back to full guard, goes for the toe hold whenever Pat kind of has a heel hook and gets submitted with a heel hook. Poor IQ. The dude's got power, but goddamn, I'm sorry. That was really stupid. He could have finished him right then and there. Before that, he took on Vince Cachero. In the first round, he circles, lands some step-in body kicks and some straight shots, but then he gets pressed, eats some 1-2s, but he pulls a tie clinch, blasts some knees in there. I like seeing that. And then he gets the blast double off the clinch break. Second round, and then some right crosses in the pocket, and then some hooks and an uppercut inside the clinch. Then he lands some 1-2s at range, and he ducks under, and he's able to take his back when he gets pressured. But then he back on the feet, eats some jabs, but he's able to slip the right crosses. Lands a beautiful blast double. Third round, more the same. Looked really good. Kind of got a little tired at the end of the second round, but who doesn't? And then ASKHABOV. Really hard to find tape on this guy. The most recent fight I could find was from 2018. Sorry, I really tried. But in 2018, he took on Edilson Teixeira outside the UFC, of course. In the first round, he ducks the hook to the clinch, gets the clinch on the fence, and then he gets a knee tap and a half guard. Really slick stuff there. Then in the second round, he lands a leg kick at range, gets a blast double off of his blitz when he gets pressured, right into half guard, lands some ground and pound, then he pulls the heel hook, gets a submission. So, yeah, maybe he'll get Jamal with that heel hook. Let's hope not. But ASKHABOV, minus 155, Jamal EMMERS, plus 135. I'm going to go Jamal EMMERS here. He's a slight underdog. I think he's got power. And I think he'll be able to wrestle Hussein. And Hussein, what kind of competition has he been fighting? EMMERS has a couple fights in UFC already. He made a very stupid decision his last fight. I'm just going to pray that he learned from that. And I'm going to take the plus money. I think EMMERS will be able to piece him up, basically. I'm going to go with Jamal EMMERS here. You know, seems like an easy one to me. But who knows? I couldn't watch all the tape on ASKHABOV, so. All right, let's see. Double check here. Yes, the co-main event of the prelims at 135 pounds, women's bantamweight. You got Lena, the elbow queen, LANSBERG, Steven's sister, taking on Mayra Bueno Silva. Should be a fun low-level scrap here. Lena took on Carol Rosa her last fight. In the first round, she drops her with the right cross off of a knee, like almost immediately. But then she gets wizard kicked from the clinch into half guard, eats some ground and pound, nasty. Messing around that clinch a little too much. Should have just kept distance. Then the second round, she walks right into a double leg, but then she's able to get up. She lands a lead right hook, but then she gets doubled off of a step-in hook, oversteps her bounds. Then in the third round, she gets back and forth in the clinch battle. She's able to get the underhook, but then she eats some elbows in the pocket. At least she doesn't get taken down, showing a little improvement, but yeah, she's kind of first rounder bust, honestly. Mayra Bueno Silva took on Stephanie Egger her last fight. First round, front kick to the face, but then she gets headlocked, but then she goes for the armbar submission and gets it in all-in-one scramble immediately on the arm. Killer instincts. I like seeing that. Before that, she took on Wu Yainan. In the first round, she pressures and she cuts off the cage, lands a 1-2, and then a flurry, which drops her. Just kind of goes crazy when she smells blood in the water. I like seeing that. Then she lands some leg kicks back out of range. Then she lands a step in right cross, and then plumb tie and a knee. And then in the second round, she walks through some body shots, but she's able to land a head kick from that. She should take one and give a few. But she gets taken down off the head kick, but then she tries to go for the triangle. Then she gets a Kimura. Decent attempt, can't get it, but she's making legitimate submission attempts on the ground, so I like to see that. Then in the third round, she backs up and pumps some jabs, but then she eats it straight to the body and then a left hook. But then she lands a right cross, and then she presses forward with some jabs, and she can start feeling her rhythm there, so yeah. I thought she looked pretty, Mayra Bueno Silva looked pretty good. A little cocky, has a little bit of arrogance, but, you know, works for her. Mayra Bueno Silva, minus 520. Lena LANSBERG, plus 410. I think Mayra is going to be able to piece her up at range, but Lena LANSBERG might be able to knock her out, but I don't think so. But laying this money on Mayra Bueno Silva is absolutely absurd. So I'm going to do this. My official pick is going to be Mayra Bueno Silva. I just think she's going to be able to piece Lena up at range. If Lena tries to take her down, she's going to be able to stuff it easily. Might get her with a headlock or a wizard kick or something like that. She's kind of crafty in the clinches. But if I'm going to bet this fight, I would bet Lena LANSBERG just because it's low-level women's MMA, plus 410. But Lena is 40, you know, and Mayra is kind of on the come-up. So I'm going to go with Mayra Bueno Silva here, but you never know, you know, with women's bantamweight, you just do not know. The main event of the prelims at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. Making his UFC debut off the Contender Series, Nazim Sadykhov taking on Evan Elder. Sadykhov took on Ahmed Hassanzada his last fight in the Contender Series. In the first round, he lands a left cross and he rocks him with the spinning back kick to the body, and then he lands some elbows and gets him on the ground. elbows in full guard, and then he's able to transition to full mount, but then he gets reversed when he's taking his back, just kind of gets a little too high on the hips, but hey, that happens. At least he's trying to score, trying to advance position. Back on the feet, he lands some elbows defending a single. Johnny Walker, Ryan Spann style, very nasty stuff. Then in the second round, he walks into a head kick, but then he lands a nice left cross. He lands straight left to the body. Straight left cross to the body, but then he gets doubled off of the fence. But he's able to get to his feet eventually, and then he drops him with a left hook to the body off of his kick, placed it perfectly, and he's ripping to the body, looking for those body shots, which a lot of guys don't even think about. Then in the third round, he lands a dip left hook, but then he eats some counter hooks in return, gets his head right in there though, but then he lands a right hook to the body, and then to the head, and then gets the KO right in succession. Bam, bam. Really good stuff, man. Very gritty, very bloody. He definitely earned that contract. Then Evan Elder took on Preston Parsons. His last fight. This was his UFC debut, but this was up at 170. Gotta do what you gotta do to get to the UFC. In the first round, he gets taken down off of a spinning back fist attempt. Stupid mistake. Gets his back taken, but then he's able to slide him off. So decent defense, but then he gets pressed and he eats a right hook. Then he lands some body kicks on the outside, but then he walks into a double and he gets put into an arm triangle for the rest of the round. So kind of stupid move. Then in the second round, he gets doubled right away, but then he's able to roll out of the mount, and he's able to get up. But then he looks for some left hooks, but then he gets blast doubled, and he gives up his back. He gets put in a rear naked choke, but then he's able to explode, turns into him. But then he gets swept again in an arm triangle, but then he's able to reverse that position again and escape that. So some decent scramble ability on the ground there, but you know, he doesn't need to be giving guys his back anyway. But then in the third round, he pressures forward, walks into a hook and a leg kick, but then he's able to stuff the takedown attempt, and then he's feigning at range, and he lands an uppercut while he's circling, and he shoots a double, but then he gets reversed, and he gives up mount position again. So tough one for him, but he had some tenacity there. Evan Elder, plus 165. Nazim Sadykhov, minus 195. Don't really... Actually, I think this line's kind of right in line, actually. Don't love guys... betting on guys coming off the Contender Series, but Evan Elder, you know, he only has one UFC fight. And Nazim, dude, just look on another level. From the minute the fight starts, this dude is nasty. He's there to hurt you. He's got decent cardio. He carried that power all the way to the third round, and he kept working the whole time, starts ripping the body. I think he's going to be able to piece out Preston Parsons. I think he's going to be able to stuff the takedown attempts. He's going to get right in Evan Elder. He's going to be able to stuff the takedown attempts. He's going to get right in Evan's face. And I think he's just going to rip him up, do some nice work to the body. I'm going to go with Nazim here. First fight on the main card, 155 pounds, men's lightweight. This is a fun banger here. Jim A10 Miller taking on Alexander the Great Hernandez. Hernandez desperately needs a win here. He's moving back up from 145. Did not go well for him there. Jim Miller just kind of trying to hang around, beat these young guys. Wants to win at UFC 300, so I think if Jim Miller wins here tonight, he'll definitely secure a spot at UFC 300. And Alex, you know, he's probably fighting for his career here, honestly. So Jim Miller took on Donald Cerrone, his last fight up at 170, but they're both 55ers. So in the first round, he backs up, lands a left hook. But then he has trouble getting inside, but then he eats a straight right, but he catches a kick, pushes Donald down into full guard, lands some ground and pound, steps over in the mount, and he tries to go for the triangle, but then he gets reversed. But all good. Thought he won that round convincingly. Then in the second round, he lands a short left whenever he gets pressed, and then he lands a body kick off of Donald's head kick attempt, and then he knocks him off balance, and then he jumps on the trap arm guillotine, goes on his back, and gets a submission. Just rips it, man. So, killer instinct from Jim Miller. Beating guys in the second round. Can't ask for much more. Then Hernandez took on Renato Moicano, his last fight at 155. Before that, he took on Billy Q at 145. Just completely fell off a cliff after the second round. So, after the first round, excuse me, into the second round. Against Moicano in the first round, he lands some leg kicks at range, but then he gets pressed with an uppercut and a left hook, and he starts backing up. Then he gets taken down to body lock. But he gets up with the deep half, and then he starts ripping the body at range. And, you know, kind of starting to come on, but classic Hernandez falls off in the second round. Second round, he gets dropped with a short right hook whenever he's kind of rushing in. And then he dirty boxes in the clinch and he presses with the 1-2, but then he eats an uppercut in the pocket when he's kind of leading with his head. But then he throws across and Moicano dips, and then he eats some uppercuts, and then he shoots a desperate double, gets pancaked, and he gives up his back and gets submitted through a naked choke. All in one sequence. So, not his best work, but Moicano's tough, man. Hernandez minus 225. Jim Miller plus 190. I'm going to ride with Jim Miller here, man. Plus 200 almost. A little bit disrespectful. I think the narrative is Hernandez, if he doesn't get done in the first round, I think Jim Miller is going to take over in the second round. Hernandez is probably going to put on a lot of pressure, but Jim Miller will be able to weather a storm. Maybe Jim Miller gets a takedown. Hernandez is pretty good with wrestling, so who knows. But I just think Jim Miller can survive, maybe throw up a couple submission attempts, keep him busy. And then I think he'll just be able to start finding his range in the second round, and Hernandez might overstep his bounds. Jim Miller might land a big shot or something. Jim Miller's got knockout power, so I'm going to go with Jim Miller here, man. Plus 190. Can't go wrong there, man. You know, let's ride with him. Second fight of the main card at 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got thick William Knight taking on Marcin Prachnio. Both guys kind of need a win here. William Knight took on Devin Clark his last fight. That was at heavyweight because he missed weight by a ton. Long story. Anyway, in that fight, in the first round, he defends a double with the front headlock, and he tries to go for the guillotine, kind of, but can't, but just using all muscles. But then he lands a knee, and then a jab, hook flurry. But then he gets taken down with the high C, and then he gets clinched right at the end there. And his gas tank starts emptying a little bit. But then in the second round, he eats a step-in hook, and then he eats a right cross. And he gets doubled when he's just kind of standing at range in a half guard. He doesn't really do much of anything to try to get up. But then in the third round, he eats a left hook, and he gets doubled. But then he gets clinched and dropped with an elbow and a left hook. And then another hook, and he gets KO'd. So, yeah. Just kind of falls off a cliff, man. It sucked because he missed weight, but yeah, man, Devin Clark, pretty decent, but really shouldn't be getting knocked out by Devin Clark if we're being honest. But and then Marcin Prachnio took on Felipe Lins his last fight a little while ago. In the first round, he circles on the outside, lands some step-in leg kicks, but then he gets clinched and taken down off of a step-in knee he throws, and he gives up his back, but then he's able to turn out, get out of there. But then he stuffs some shots, but he gets the clinch up against the fence. Kind of his go-to. It doesn't really do much, though. Then in the second round, he gets pressed with some hooks in a firefight, but then he lands some counters, hooks in that exchange. Then he goes for the clinch. Smart move there. But then he walks into a 1-2, but then he drops him with the front body kick, and then he goes immediately into the clinch. But then he gets pressed with some straights to the head and the body, and then he gets clinched again, though. Then in the third round, he rushes a hook, and he gets body locked, but he eventually is able to get the single leg, and then he's able to escape. But then he lands a step-in left hook from front kick, and then they go into a clinch battle. Doesn't really do much of anything. Doesn't capitalize in that clinch position at the end of the round when he needed it most. Marcin Prachnio, plus 105. William Knight, minus 125. Flip a coin on this one, man. I really don't know. I just have a feeling William Knight's going to crack him with some big shot here. William Knight's pretty solid in the first round, and Prachnio, you know, he can flurry, he can throw some hooks, and you know, he can land some shots in the firefight, but I think William Knight, you know, when William Knight starts swinging at you, if you don't, you know, you're getting hit with a boulder. So, typically, I like to see guys that can make it to the second or third round, but this is a coin flip. I just think for some reason William Knight's going to crack him with a big shot and knock him out. We've seen him put guys lights out before here, and I think William Knight's decent enough in a clinch to be able to defend, and Prachnio just doesn't capitalize on much. It's kind of a stupid pick, but I feel it. I'm going to go with William Knight here. I think he cracks him with a big shot early and knocks him out. The whole fight to go over 2.5, though, plus 130, just in case it doesn't. Not bad, but I'm going to go thick Willie here. The feature fight of the evening at 265 pounds, men's heavyweight. We got a great slop fest for you. Josh Parisian taking on Jamal Pogues. Pogues coming off the Contender Series, making his UFC debut. Parisian took on Alan Badeau his last fight. Actually, really impressive performance from him. In the first round, he lands a hook and a leg kick, and then he gets into the clinch battle. But then he lands an uppercut and some 1-2s inside the pocket, but then he gets dropped with the hook off of spinning back fist attempt. Really stupid from him, to be honest. What the hell is he doing? But whatever. And he tries to go for the Kimura, but he just eats a ton of ground and pound. But he's able to get back on the feet, and then he's able to get the double leg takedown off the fence and land some nice ground and pound at the end there. And then he knows he can take him down at will, basically. Then in the second round, he eats some uppercuts in the clinch, but then he gets the double off the fence again, right into side control, delivers some nasty ground and pound. But then he gets back on the feet. They get back on the feet, and he slips the hook, but he's able to get the body lock trip right into side control, and then gets an amount, lands some nasty ground and pound, then transition. Then Badell gives him his back, and then he just starts wailing on him from his back and gets a TKO, man. Very workmanlike performance from him, and he went right to his wrestling way he needed to. Pretty good IQ from him, besides that spinning back fist, which cost him. But decent performance from the guy. Then Jamal Pogues took on Paulo Renato Jr. in the Contender Series. In the first round, he gets clinched, but he breaks out, and he starts pumping some jabs. And then he lands some 1-2s, but then he walks into some leg kicks. Then in the second round, he jabs. That's pretty much all this guy does the entire fight is jab, but whatever. But then he gets pressed with some leg kicks sometimes. Dude, it was, you know, oh yeah, Paulo Renato, he was moving up from like welterweight, I think, by the way. But then in the third round, he lands a 1-2 whenever he gets pressed, and then he lands a lead hook. And then he presses forward with some 1-2s, continues to jab. Doesn't do much of anything. But outpoints the guy, outstrikes him. So, bigger guy, takes the center of the cage. That's what you want to see. Jamal, minus 250. Josh Parisian, plus 210. I'm going to go Josh Parisian because it's low-level heavyweights. Go the underdog, even if it didn't work out with Parker Porter. Still got to take this one, man. Also, Jamal has not had a UFC fight yet. Josh Parisian, say what you will about him. He's got some wrestling skills. He's got some finishing capabilities. And he's had multiple UFC fights. So I'm going to go Josh Parisian here. Don't really need to explain myself too much more. The whole fight to go over 2.5 rounds, minus 140. Don't hate that. I'm going to go Josh here. On to the co-main event. 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja, taking on Zach Pauga. Pauga moving down from heavyweight. Got knocked out by Muhammad Usman. Jordan Wright moving up from 185. Just got knocked out as well. So we're in for a low-level slop scrap fest. And I hope you like violence, because you're going to see a lot of it. Jordan Wright took on Dusko Todorovic. His last fight down at 185. In the first round, he gets clinched immediately, but then he's able to pummel, and he's able to get the double leg takedown into full guard, and he's able to defend the leg lock, gets around his back, lands some nice ground and pound there for a little while, and then he goes to the arm triangle to mount, but he can't hold him there. But really good stuff from him. Don't really see him wrestle too much. Maybe that's what gassed him out, but, you know, change it up a little bit. I like the different approach. And then in the second round, he gets pressured to the corner, and then he eats a jab and some hooks in the clinch. Then he lands a hook flurry to the body and the head, and he shoots a desperate double leg, but he gets stuffed, and he gives up his back from there. And then he's able to get up, and then he stays clinched. But then he's able to break out, pummel out, and he gets desperate for a clinch and eats some hooks, and he defends the guillotine attempt. But then he gets drugged down from around the back and he eats some ground and pound into full mount, and then just gets TKO'd, and he was just completely exhausted. Jordan Wright is a first-rounder bust guy, basically, so he just wasn't used to the wrestling, but he tried, man. It looked pretty good there for moments. And then Zach Pauga took on Muhammad Usman at heavyweight. This was the Ultimate Fighter finale. In the first round, he throws a Superman jab. Don't see that too often. Lands a head kick. It glances him, but then it gets caught. But then he lands a 1-2 and then a head kick. And then a jab. And then he starts landing some body kicks. Really loosening it up here. Then he stutter steps into a hook. Looks pretty good the first round, honestly. Sticking and moving a lot, moving around him, getting in and getting out. But then in the second round, he lands his lunge jab attempt, gets countered with the left hook, a huge left hook from Muhammad Usman, and gets knocked the fuck out. And yeah, we didn't know Muhammad Usman had power like that. At least I didn't, so it woke me up. But yeah, Zach Pauga a little small for the weight class, I guess. Zach Pauga minus 275, Jordan Wright plus 230. Both guys need a win here desperately, so yeah, should be interesting. That being said, I like Jordan Wright here, man. For plus 230, yeah, Zach Pauga, he can go all 3 rounds, but, you know, he doesn't really have anything special. And he just got knocked. I mean, they both just got knocked out brutally, but he got like one shot KO'd, and Jordan Wright got TKO'd, so it's a little different. Zach PAUGA dropping down in weight, and Jordan Wright moving up from weight. Right there, I like Jordan Wright just from that information there. And you know, I don't know if Jordan Wright's gonna wrestle or not, but I think they're just gonna get in there and scrap. If they get into a firefight, dude, I like Jordan Wright here. I think he can land hooks on the inside, some nasty hooks. I think he can pressure PAUGA a lot. And I think PAUGA might suffer from the weight cut, and his chin might be affected. So I'm gonna go Jordan Wright here. I like the knockout, plus 230. Do it for Chris Farley. All right, on to the main event of the evening. This one actually is a banger. I'm actually really excited about this. 125 pounds, women's flyweight. You got Jessica, the pile driver, on Josh, taking on Erin, cold-blooded Blanchfield. Huge spot for both ladies. Erin Blanchfield. This is her first ranked fight, I guess you would say. And if she wins this one, dude, she's right there for the title shot. She'll probably fight the winner of Grasa or Shevchenko. And Jessica, she's trying to get another title shot. She's lost to both champions at each weight class. But a win here over the up-and-coming prospect that nobody really wants to fight should put her in a really good position. Now, Tyler Santos was the original opponent for this fight, and she fell out. But I like this fight even more, honestly. Jessica Andrade fought less than a month ago against Lauren Murphy, and I think it's interesting, man. I think things could go in Blanchfield's favor. Let's look into it here. Jessica Andrade, she took on Lauren Murphy her last fight. In the first round, she stalks with some leg kicks. She lands some check hooks off of Lauren's blitzes. Then she lands some left hooks and a straight right. And then she lands a flurry off of Lauren's jabs. And then she's able to cut off the cage and just, you know, piece her up routinely. This happens all 3 rounds. She gets taken down for a second, literally, but it doesn't really matter. Then in the second round, she walks into a jab, but then she lands some left hooks, and she's able to stuff the double leg attempt. But then she lands some leg kicks and a right hook, and then another flurry. Just gets her on the inside, just rips her apart, dude. Just goes crazy. Andrade has so much power, but Murphy's so tough. She's just taking shots to the face. Then in the third round, she lands a lead left hook, and she works inside and lands another flurry. She gets a clinch to the single, and she pulls out of the Kimura attempt, and then she lands a right on the inside, and then she lands some hooks. And, you know, it's the same story every round. She just walks her down, pressures her. Lauren couldn't establish a jab or couldn't keep her down on the ground. So, yeah. Destroyed her all 3 rounds. 10-8 every single round, basically. And then Erin Blanchfield, her last fight is against Molly McCann. In the first round, she presses with some jabs, and then she lands a step and right cross. She lands a body kick, and then a 1-2. And then a level change, gets the double leg whenever Molly steps in to throw a big shot. Immediately goes to the crucifix position. She lands some punches, some nasty elbows, really makes her pay. Then she goes for a step through Kimura attempt. Can't really get it, but she cranks that thing pretty hard. Then she goes back to the crucifix, more ground and pound. Then she finally gets the Kimura again, steps over the head, and finally gets a submission. It looked like Molly's entire arm was going to pop off, but yeah, very nasty. A big spot for her, Molly McCann. Not the most skilled fighter, but she was coming off a lot of hype. She was coming off a couple huge knockouts, so that's a big spot for her, and she delivered the goods. Erin Blanchfield, plus 110. Jessica Andrade, minus 130. I'm going to go back and forth on this fight. I mean, Jessica Andrade's the more experienced fighter. I think I guess you'd say more skilled, definitely on the feet. Jessica, she can wrestle a little bit. I think, you know, Blanchfield obviously has the advantage in the grappling. But I think it comes down to how far advanced is Jessica in striking compared to Erin. Is Erin going to be able to get her down to the ground? I don't know. Can Erin go 5 rounds? Because this fight was originally scheduled for 3 rounds until a couple weeks ago. So, I don't know. But, kind of a coin flip here. It's not all based on facts and statistics, but I just feel the hype of Blanchfield, man. I feel like this weight class needs a new challenger, and I think she can get it done. Jessica might be overlooking her a little bit. She just fought less than a month ago, taking this on short, like a week's notice. And, yeah, Jessica beat her up for 3 rounds, but she was in a 3-round fight, so it's got to be a little wear and tear on her body. And, I think Andrade is going to come out guns blazing and maybe try to run her over, but I think Blanchfield will be able to weather the storm. How's Blanchfield's chin? That's another question. I think she'll be okay. I think she might eat her shot or two, but I think she's going to be able to clinch her up or jab and circle and, you know, just kind of drag this thing out into the later rounds. And then I think Blanchfield has a better shot at getting her down. If she keeps going for those takedown attempts, little by little, she might get one, and Andrade pops back up, but then she keeps working it, keeps going to those positions, those doubles, those trips. I think she may be able to keep her down eventually, and, you know, it might come down to a close decision, or Blanchfield might run over too, who knows. But plus 110, I'm going to go with the underdog, Erin Blanchfield. I hope the fight's cold-blooded. All right, everyone, thanks for riding with me. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Hit me up. Leave a comment. I will answer. Tell your friends. Not the best yet, but, yeah. Let's work together. Let's make some picks. Let's make some money. Let's see some upsets. Let's see some violence. And let's see some profit. Good luck, everyone.